Okay, so this next series of videos is going to walk you through the basics of getting started with web page design and development. So what are we going to do and not do? We're going to learn HTML and CSS in enough detail that you can significantly modify and create web pages. However, we're not going to get deep into the structure of CSS. We will show you how to do positioning with CSS. We'll even get into using Bootstrap. We're not going to get into the details of how to edit and modify the core Bootstrap styles and structures. But the idea is to give you about 3 to 5 hours of video tutorials that will walk you through enough of the content that you can know what you're looking at when you go to edit existing HTML and even design some of your own pages. So this is going to be useful to a variety of people and situations. This course is an Intro to Information Systems course, so it's clearly going to be beneficial to IS students. However, I have been invited before to teach classes at other organizations. Qualtrics is a local company I've done that with, where they want to give their employees an opportunity to learn this. And I get people who majored in marketing, finance, accounting, nothing to do with IS at all, or computer science or software development, who need and want to learn some basic HTML because it's useful in a variety of just contexts and scenarios. So with that background, let's start with some of the basics. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to use an editor called Visual Studio Code. There's lots of good ones you can use. You can even, if you're on a PC, you can use Notepad. You can use Notepad++. Basically, you just need anything that can create and edit text and save documents as .html files. So let me show you some others you might choose to use. Brackets is a great one. By the way, both Visual Studio Code and Brackets, these are available on both Mac and PC, and they work identically. Part of the reason why I'm going to use Visual Studio Code is because our IS students, once they've taken this class and they start the IS Junior Core, we'll be teaching ASP.NET in C#, and they'll upgrade to the full version of Video Studio for that. However, even though this is a Microsoft product, it's available for Mac, which is what I'm using. Another good one is Sublime. Oops, it was just right there. Sublime Text. There we go. Again, depending on the company that I've gone and taught some of these classes at, they all have their own favorite. Each of these different editors, Brackets, Sublime, Visual Studio, they're all free, and they're all going to do things like color and mark up the code you write and give you some assistance in knowing what types of code is available in the context of what you're writing. Again, they're all great. Take your pick, and let's go from there. So feel free to pause this video while you're downloading and installing that. In fact, I'm going to go ahead. I've downloaded Visual Studio Code, but I am now going to install it. So here we go. I'll pause this while I finish. Actually, no, I won't, because I want you to see what I do. So I downloaded the zip file, just unzipped it. Here's the application. Let's go ahead and run that. Come on, there we go. All right, let's modify this to fit the screen. Okay, let's open a folder. So what I want to do is start by creating a place where all of our web files are going to sit. So if you're brand new to this, never done this before, here's the first difference between creating web pages versus like a Word document. We create Word documents in Word. Yes, there are some other programs that can edit and modify Word documents. Google Docs will do it. OpenOffice will do it. But generally speaking, there's a primary program used to create a certain type of file. HTML files, CSS files, JavaScript files, they're different. There's a variety of editors we can use to all create a .html file. So it's much more, the web pages we create are much more independent of the program we're making it in. Many programs can make the same file. Also, there's not going to be one single file. Like with a Word document, even if you have images and video embedded in a Word document, it's still one file. Now, if I embed photos into a Word document, it will make that file a lot bigger because it's got to increase by the size of the images. However, it's still one file I'm opening and closing. Again, websites are different. The images and videos and everything we put on our web pages are going to exist as separate files in their original form from those web pages. So instead of opening a file, we're going to open a folder that has a set of documents all together. So let's create something. I'm just going to go to my desktop for the purpose of this video and make a new folder. Let's call this YouTube demo, web demo. There we go. All right, I'm going to click on this folder, open it up. Now, if you're on a PC, same thing. You're making a new folder somewhere, you're opening up that folder instead of the file. So all I have to do is, unlike a file where I select it and then that opens up, when I'm opening a folder, I'm not clicking on any file in that folder. I'm not opening something inside the folder. I'm going to still open the parent folder that all of my web files will eventually exist in. So that's why normally when you go to open something from Windows Explorer or Finder on a Mac, you have to click on the file and then this open button becomes available. But because I'm opening a folder, this open button is still activated and I can use it even though I've got a folder selected. So anyway, open that. And it says, okay, we're going to start by giving you a welcome file. I don't need or want that right now. Here we go. This is my YouTube web demo folder. So I've got a few options. This one says make a new file, make a new folder. Within that folder, we're going to end up using all of these things. For now, let's just make a new file. And it says, what do you want to call it? Let's call it index. Actually, no. Let's start with, no, we're going to start with resume. So we're going to build our resume. We're going to do 2 pages total. And we're going to learn all kinds of different ways to group these pages together. But let's do it in reverse. Instead of starting with the home page, we're going to start with the resume page. All right, so just to show you how this works, it's named it resume.html by default. I could have named that something else if I wanted to. I'm going to Command S or Control S on this thing. And I just want to show you now where this file exists from my Finder view. So come over here and I'm going to go to my desktop. And here's my YouTube folder, and see here's resume.html. So unlike a Word, that's .docx, or Excel, it's .xlsx, it's .html, and I could easily rename that to anything else I wanted and try and open up another program. .txt, I can now open that up. It says, are you sure you want to do that? If I make it .text, I can open that in Notepad or something else. Anyway, let's double click this now. Because it has my little Chrome icon right here, you might have a different icon. Internet Explorer, Firefox, Safari, something else. When your computer sees a .html, it's going to assume you want to open it up in a browser. So when I do that, here's my file. Notice that it's not pulling from some web server, www.something. It's pulling from my own file system, which means this lives on my own computer and I can trace it back. I have this YouTube weird %20 thing. This is the code for a space. And when we're putting something in a URL, it doesn't like spaces, so it turns all spaces into this %20. And you can see the folder structure of where it exists. If I go to my Mac on Finder, and I go to my, let's see, let me back up and go to, here we go. Nope, that's my virtual server. Yeah, okay, I get it, thank you. I'm going to go to, no, I'll see right here. Anyway, this shows you the path, the original folder, users, MJK5, desktop, YouTube, where I would go to find that file. But anyway, right now there's nothing in that file. It's totally blank. But also notice that if I want to edit that file, I can't come here to YouTube and simply double click and open it, because it's going to keep opening it here in my browser and I can't edit anything in a browser, right? I can't type in that like a Word document. So instead, let me open this back up. The way I edit an HTML file is by opening it, the same file here, it's opened in an editor, like brackets, Sublime Text, or this Visual Studio Code. So let's say I close this out now and I'm done with Visual Studio Code. And let me quit out of it completely. How do I go and edit that file? Well, come back here to Finder, and I'm going to have to either right-click on this and say Open With and use a different program. There's my Visual Studio Code. But if I do that, here's the problem. It's going to open up just that file in Visual Studio Code, and I no longer have that folder structure. Now, yeah, I can edit it here, and I can put some code in this, and that'll work. But often when I'm working on a website, I want to see everything all together within the website folder that it lives in. So instead of opening a file directly like that when we want to edit it, let's only ever open a file from Finder when you want to view it in the web page like we have back here. If we want to edit it, let's first go and open the editor that you downloaded. Pull it back in here. And then notice I can go to File and I can open a folder, but it also remembers my recent places. So here's the folder that I just created. I'll click on that and it'll open it back up for me right here in YouTube Web Demo. Okay, so now we've got an editor opened. We're ready to start coding. I'm going to stop this video now and we'll move on to the next.